Gary, team news-wise, how are you looking? How did everyone come through Tuesday?
No, very good. No injuries to report from that. We lost Matty Palmer with illness. So he's, we'll be touch and go. We'll see how he is tomorrow. But apart from him, everybody that played and was still came through fine. Clayton's had another good week, so he's going the right way. Who else is there? I think that's about it. That's coming back. Joe Riley's progressing well as he works hard every day. Tyler French has gotten a bit of a problem with his shin at the moment. That's holding him back, which is disappointing for him. And Richard O'Donnell's going well, and that's everybody, I think.
Could Clayton be involved this weekend? I saw him doing some shooting practice when I was driving in.
Yeah, he's getting there. I think this weekend probably be a bit too early for him, but we'll see how he recovers after, like you say, today they've had the ones that haven't played, and including the ones coming back from injury have had a tough session for today. So we'll see how he recovers from that.
How much do you think you've missed him?
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt, you've missed him. We've missed him in the dressing room. We've missed him, being around the place in the lead up to games, and then we've missed him on the training pitch. We've missed him in games as well because of what he brings to the team in terms of his all-round play and his experience. So no, 100% we've missed him.
How much does Tuesday night take out of a group when you get back in the very early hours? And I know there'll be fans listening who got back in the very early hours, and it has a knock-on effect, doesn't it, for a few days for you?
It does, and I'm sure the wonderful support that we had down there when they got back at the hours that they must have got back at as well, they appreciate and understand. But today, for those lads, has been all about rest and recovery that play. And they get on with it. They're an honest bunch, like I've said. So no, they're just doing everything they can now to make sure that they're ready to go again on Saturday now.
I wanted to ask you about something you mentioned after the game in your interview with us when you were asked about the players in midfield and you urging them forwards, telling them look forwards, go forwards with it. How do you get that into them, and why do you think they are hesitant at that at times?
I didn't think we were hesitant. Having watched the game back as what probably initially your thoughts, but no, I think it's some of it's getting used to playing with certain players again and understanding the relationships. But no, I thought looking back at the game and watching it again, which is always a better way to then draw your conclusions after It looked, we did well. We played some nice stuff at times, and we just a final pass, the first half especially, where Dylan Connolly's got in several times, and then obviously the wonderful effort from Chris Taylor, and then the brilliant opportunity when Harry Pritchard gives up the opportunity to shoot, but. No, I think on reflection, the performance, like I said at the time, it was a very good tactical game, and the standard of play from both teams and how they went about it was, in my opinion, it was a very high level.
And it's about taking that responsibility on, isn't it, I suppose, with someone like Harry Pritchard in that situation, about taking that
I think
on.
Harry would have shot if he'd have been playing in the game and he was in the flow of it, having just come on. I think it was one of them where, he probably didn't want to be seen to be missing, but we spoke with him, and I spoke with all of them, and just to say, you've got to do what Tails did and just let rip, and you never know where it can end up, and unfortunately for Chris, it hits the bar and comes out, where another time it rattles the underside of the bar and goes in.
Luke McGee, what have you made to him in his two performances so far?
He's been if I speak about him as a person, he's been fantastic. From the very first time that I spoke to him, to coming into the building, to how he's been around the place, he's been, he's a real popular member of the group already, which is a credit to him. He's not shy. He comes, which most goalkeepers aren't. They've got to be vocal, and he gave a very good rendition of the song that he chose to do in the hotel before the game against Colchester, and the lad can sing.
Yeah. What song was it? Do you know?
I knew you would ask me that, but no, I can't remember. He's too young for me. Whatever song it was too young for me. But
he's got some lungs.
Yeah, he can sing. Yeah, X Factor contender.
Really?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, X Factor contender. So. Watch this space when he retires. Might be the next Teddy Sheringham.
Maybe that's what he's been doing with all the downtime he'd had, because he admitted he's struggled when he's not been necessarily playing week in, week out, game in, game out, and it's hard for a goalkeeper because there's only one slot you can fit into. So how much praise does he deserve for the way he's jumped straight back into first team action?
Definitely. He does. He deserves an enormous amount of credit, and he looks comfortable with the ball at his feet. He played out a couple of tight situations ever so well. He brings a bit of calmness about that the way he does it. In the game on Tuesday, he wasn't really tested with shot after shot. I think he made one good save, but no, he's settled in ever so good. And like you say, the fact that he's not had that much football, he's only going to get better every time he plays.
Transfer window?
Yes.
Just over a week to go?
Yes.
Are you busy on the phone? What's happening?
The phone was mental yesterday with people ringing up and throwing players at you and what have you, and it's hilarious, isn't it, where they go, right, well, it opens in January and it's you see deals getting done, but we're now really gearing up for the Madden rush. But no, there's nothing anything to report that's anywhere near concrete for either an incoming or an outgoing at this moment.
Any of those phone calls pique your interest, though? Were there a few that were thrown your way that you thought, well, maybe if X, Y, and Z happens?
Yeah, no, there were one, two, three in particular that really caught my attention. But they're a long way off at this moment in time. But obviously, people are trying their arm and just throwing names out there and see who, like you say, has a little nibble. But
you've got the scope if you need to.
Well, there have to be a conversation and go. Obviously, you have to go with all the facts, and all the facts would be, how much it's going to cost, when's it from till. But I'm led to believe that there is a little bit of scope to do something, but again, it has to add up, that's for sure.
And what about Owen Doyle? Any update on his situation? Still expecting him to be here, or have Swindon been back in touch?
No, as far as I'm aware, that he's played. He put in a hell of a shift the other night. He had this chance that got deflected and went wide, and then he was narrowly offside, and he's been narrowly offside for the last two now, but I thought him and Shane McCartan, the way that they linked up well the other night, and we want that relationship to continue.
Sounds as though Jerry Yates might be going back to Rotherham as well, if it hasn't already happened from Swindon. So would that maybe increase the chances of them coming back for him, would you feel, for Owen Doyle?
I don't know.
It'd increase their need for a striker, wouldn't it?
Yes, correct.
Which could then possibly increase their need to come back for a striker they know all about.
Yes, correct, possibly. But I'm not Richie Wellens, so I couldn't answer that for you.
Does that concern you, though, that it could happen late in the window? It could happen deadline day, something like that?
That's what I'm saying about the window. I'm sat here now saying, they've had nothing for ours, nothing, not a sniff on any of ours as such, and the last hour of the window, it could change and you could lose one, and there'd be something that, sometimes there's not a great deal you can do. If a decision's made, above you, that financially it's correct for the club.
What about the next one then? What about Mansfield? They struggle at home, don't they, at the moment?
I watched them against Plymouth on the bus back from Colchester, and they had 4 clear opportunities to take the lead before Plymouth scored and played well. They played a different system. They played a different style to how they played it here, which I fully expected, because obviously when Graham went in there at the beginning, it was just at the start of that Christmas period where you wouldn't have had much time on the training pitch. They probably had a couple of sessions where he could implement how they wanted to play. And like I said before, we played them in December. They've got players that can hurt you, and they've got a good squad, and they found themselves in a situation that probably on paper doesn't warrant their position with what they got, but they're a dangerous opponent, one we're aware of, but we go there, with one defeat in our last 11, buoyed by the performance of Tuesday night, and yet being solid again and difficult to break down, and we want more from our lads in the final third to push on now and take that performance and that result on to a victory.
Good stuff, thank you.
You mentioned Clayton, Jamie Devitt.
Yeah.
How difficult is it trying to get them match fit at the moment?
Difficult.
With the weather the way it is.
Well, fair play to the pair of them. They are both very good in terms of the way that they look after themselves, in terms of how they've gone about the recovery and the work rate that they've done. But anyone will tell you, it's game time that they need for that little bit of sharpness. We can do it all in training, but it's the real stuff that they need. And so, that's the hard bit, but that's the situation we find ourselves in at this moment in time. And obviously we play Saturday, and then we play Tuesday again, and then the window shuts, and then we play Saturday, and after that it might just calm down a little bit, and then we can see where we're at with it all.
And Luke McGee was just saying to us that what he really needs is games, because you can't replicate for a goalkeeper in training what it's like in a match. So how long are you expecting that to take for him to be fully up to speed?
Well, it's different for every individual, but we've already seen the benefit of him playing 2 games already in such a quick turnaround, and then he gets a third game this Saturday, and then we'll see where we go from there, because he's got the Cheltenham game, and his level of performances have been good since he's been in. So long may that continue.
Cheers.
Going back to the window again now, without sort of talking about Swindon all the time, obviously they're in a position where they've just lost 2 quite major players. I mean, that's always the risk, isn't it, when you've got loan players, and when you're in this situation, that things can happen like that.
Yeah, it is. It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think it was Carlisle last season. We were doing really well in. I think it was a couple of lads, Nadasan and Sowerby there, and they had the recall, and then they just dropped off a little bit and just missed out. So it is difficult. And when you take the loan players, it is always something where, especially when they do really well. So when I was at Blackpool, we had Sean Longstaff, and he was smacking them in here, there and everywhere, and you heard another League One club or a Championship club was going to come in for him, and you just sit there and wait for the release clause date, or the recall date, to elapse, and then you can breathe a little bit, and then 1 minute past 11 on January the 31st, you can actually try and get some sleep without worrying about losing anybody. But the rules when you go into the agreement, so it's something that you have to accept, and it works both ways in your favour.
Because it can change the whole dynamic quite quickly, can't it?
Yeah,
for,
definitely.
Teams, so.
Yeah, definitely. And like I say, I've seen the advantage of it, where you bring a couple of new faces in all of a sudden just at the death, and it just, it gets the group going again, and it has its advantages, but I wish they'd do a week rather than a month. It just doesn't make sense in my head to just drag it all out to then have that mad week, and even in that mad week it goes to a mad 2 days.
Is it not better in this situation? Do you feel a bit sort of more comfortable in this window than perhaps some managers might be chasing players desperately, but when you look at the squad you've got and players coming back, is a position of, are you sort of in this window in a position of relative strength, do you think? Oh,
listen, if the window closed now and we had to go with what we've got with, I don't have a problem with that at all, and I just said that to the group, and throughout the course of the season and leading up to the window opening, that's down to them, If they're flying and people make them available, and I think, well, he's not going to get in ahead of him, then that's not a problem at all for me. The only sometimes I think you look at it and say the odd new face here and there, just like I say, just brightens the place up a little bit, or just brings a bit of curiosity in and a bit of a different challenge for one or two, which is sometimes really good as well.
And presumably also the players themselves, in terms of attitude, that they comfortable with the window, because sometimes you said before it can be a little bit.
I think if you wanted to know more about what's happening in the window, you go and speak to the players, because they know everything that's happening in the window, and through agents, through other players at other clubs, and
is that easy to manage when you're doing that?
It's entertaining, that's for sure. Because what you would definitely hear is that you'll hear one player say, "Oh, I've heard such and such is getting so much money at such and such," and you think, right, well, you're not getting anywhere near that, so you can pipe down. But that's what it creates. But you just then have to obviously manage it and use it to motivate them if that's their motivation, if it's financial.
And at the moment, you've now got 6 loans in, of course.
Yes.
I know the situation. You said you didn't want to repeat,
no.
But I suppose it's a necessity.
It was, and like I say, it's something that's going to need to be managed. I didn't like the idea of it at all, being honest, through what happened last year to young Powley. But it is something that I'll have to manage as and when that's required.
Is it a case of almost sitting the loan players down and saying, look,
this
is going to be the scenario?
Me personally, that's what I will do. I will be honest with them. I don't think you can do it any other way.